cardinal rule about expenses in real estate investing is you have to spend money to make money. This sounds simple, but I want to unpack it a little bit. Obviously, money in is important. That's what we talked about with passive income and cash flow, but money out is important too. So there are two distinctions here that I want to make. The first is you need to avoid having expenses. So what are expenses? If you're looking at big consumer items like a car, for example, it's buying things that will lose value over time. So the car is the perfect example of this. The second you drive it off the lot, you just signed your contract, it was worth a certain amount of money. The minute you drive it off the lot, all of a sudden that consumer good takes a big hit. By the time you're finished paying that loan, the car is almost worthless. So this is a perfect example of an expense, and it's quite easy to understand why we need to avoid that. The distinction where most people get confused is the difference between an asset and an investment. Okay? And here basically we're talking about a single family home. So people know that when you buy a single family home, it's going to gain value over time, but it's not generating income. And this is the real difference between an asset and an investment. So when people use most of their capital to purchase a single family home, what they're actually doing is they're purchasing a good that sure, in 20 years time, it's going to be worth more than the moment when they bought it, but it's not creating any passive income. Okay? And this is really a major distinction here because people say, oh, I need to stop throwing money away on rent. That might be true, but what you really need to do is spend money in a way that's going to have the most impact for you. Spend money to make money. And maybe the most efficient way of doing that is not by purchasing a single family home. So if we think about why is it that there's this difference between an asset and investment as well. So an investment property generates money with rent. So you have basically your tenants who are paying rent for you. You're using other people's money to make you money. That's the definition of leverage. And then also there's a tax incentive on this. When you own an asset, your single family home, you're paying that mortgage payment with after-tax dollars. So that means that you're discounting your dollar. You're using maybe 70 cents or 50 cents of the dollar you have to pay towards your mortgage. At the end of that, then you can do upgrades and maintenance again with discounted after-tax dollars. Whereas in the case of an investment, it's completely the opposite. Your tenants pay you pay your mortgage, you then deduct your amount of money that you use for maintenance, and only after that are you taxed on the profits. So not only are investments generating money because tenants pay you rent, but there's also a tax incentive to have them. So basically the main distinction here to understand is that yes, an asset will gain value over time, but it's not generating you cash flow or generating you passive income, and setting up a passive income system was the whole reason that we got into investing in the first place. So you need to be really clear in your mind what the difference is between an asset and an investment. And if you have capital to invest, you need to think about purchasing an investment before you purchase an asset that basically you're going to enjoy, but it's not creating passive income.